The glimpse. You speak very often of an insight or a glimpse. What is the nature of it, and how does it manifest? Imagine that you live in a dark room and are more or less accustomed to the dark. Then one day you suddenly see a crack through which light comes. This light represents the insight. It is a glimpse of reality in the context of being understanding. It is truth. In the same way, when you understand clearly that an object can only be explained by referring to another object, but that all objects find their meaning in the light of consciousness, you will no longer be bound to the object world. In the moment you see the crack of light which comes from beyond the object world, in this moment you are liberated from bondage to objects. Can we do anything to bring about this insight? An insight is produced spontaneously by life, or a teacher can bring you to the threshold by informing you of your true state, that you are objectless. Through higher reasoning on the ultimate subject, the teacher brings the mind to its limits. The point where the mind is exhausted and says, "I don't know," is the threshold where the insight occurs. We must become free from being stuck in ignorance, taking the dark room for granted. The crack of light is always there. It must only be seen. So the one and only condition for the insight is an exhausted mind? Yes. When we are free from projecting, constructing situations, strategizing, thinking, then we are in a state of openness. In openness, nothing is expected, nothing is lost or gained. In openness, we are open to the present. There is no memory in openness, no anticipation. It is a state of waiting without waiting for anything. The teacher brings you to this waiting for nothing at all through reason, higher reason. He or she informs you of the real state, the facts of life. Life itself can bring you to the state of openness through the unexpected, a crisis of some kind. In this case, as the mind is not informed and therefore not exhausted, very often people live again in the object, make the insight an object, an experience, an accumulated piece of knowledge. It is vital to live in identity, in oneness with the moment, where thought dissolves in silence, and there is being, understanding. What is important is not to fall into the trap of objectifying the insight. We leave it. It never leaves us. It is always. Well, it seems that it takes an effort not to fall into the trap. You cannot try to objectify moments of oneness. Take note only that you do objectify. This being aware of it is not effort. It is alertness. But we are so conditioned to function through the ego, the individual entity. How can we begin to function from a non-individual perspective without an insight first? We must face what is actual from moment to moment. See that we function and face our daily life through striving, selection, and anticipation. We should take note that we function from the split or divided mind. In other words, we must be completely aware of it, an awareness free from trying to control and justify. In this simply being aware, we are out of the whole process, and transformation is free to take place. From the whole, there is neither positive nor negative existence. It is in the abeyance of both that the truth is discovered. You must begin with what is actually present here and now, and the insight will come in your openness to it. It is like the sudden cry of a bird in stillness. You may have been in stillness, but not knowingly. But the sudden cry in the stillness makes you aware of the stillness. So be aware of your stillness before and after all mental activity. Once we have a glimpse of living from the non-individual stance, how can we sustain this new position? The glimpse brings a very deep impression in you. It leaves a deep echo in you and will find you again. But don't remember it, or you'll make a mind construct of it. Let it reappear in you as completely objectless, and all your surroundings will be touched by it, by freshness, sacredness, and holiness. Our body, that is, our sense organs, is conditioned by the idea of a person who is the sole author of his actions. When we have the insight that we are not the author, how exactly is our body affected? No matter what you may do or not do, it is I who will do it or not do it, for there is no you. Be aware that doership is superimposed on doing. During the doing, there is no place for a doer or the concept of a doer. Two thoughts cannot occur simultaneously. To interrupt doing in order to introduce a doer would hinder the doing. Our spontaneous body movement would be interrupted. When we have the insight that we are not the individual, the body takes itself in charge. It is no longer interrupted in its action. Well, what exactly is direct perception? Is it for you the same as pure perception? What is the mechanism in direct perception that is different from simply perception? After explaining what direct perception is, would you tell us why it is so important and how to come to it and then sustain it? Perception, as it is generally understood, is a qualified seeing and hearing and so on. This has no place here. Pure perception is the only kind of perception we are interested in. It is pure because it is free from all conceptualization and thinking. There is no intermediary between subject and object, perceiver and perceived. In the act of perceiving, there is not a perceiver and nothing is perceived. There is pure objectless seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, and tasting. Every object has the power to bring you back to seeing and to hearing, that is, to awareness. But the object must be free to do that. The heard is its hearing, the seen is its seeing, and so on. Direct perception is when you are in identity, in oneness with your timeless nature. Using your earlier example of the bird cry and the stillness, could we say that pure perception is the state you are in when you hear the bird, free from all thinking? And direct perception is when this sound brings you back to your silence. Yes, exactly. And being knowingly in the silence is apperception? Precisely. You say we must begin from silence. How can we begin from what we know not? How can a blind man begin from sight? Just taking note that there is something before thinking and acting take place makes you open to this something, even though you don't know what it is. You are available to it without qualifying it. In this availability, you are taken by stillness. You may explore what never changes in you. It is a feeling free from all objects, from all thought constructs. As a blind person must be led to understand objects of sight by reference to the other senses, is there a pedagogical form to help us understand the ultimate through reference to the relative? There is no reference, but there can be analogy. For example, we have moments of our total absence as an I when we are in wonderment or astonishment, where there is no me present, only the feeling. These moments, which we call absence, are analogous to our total presence because they are free from objects and duality. Analogy is employable on the level of objective phenomena, but we can never find an analogy for what is beyond the mind. The less cannot find the more. The unknown something between thoughts is a reference, a pointer. And so is the space you teach in the body work, is it not? When the body is experienced as space, there is no more periphery. We are completely awake in space, completely unfurnished, where even the walls disappear. We are this space. Our real being is space. The insight that we are not who we think we are brings us to a deep alertness, the threshold of being. But when one does not have this insight and is living the sayings of the guru, or at least trying to, how can one be alert? To let go of volition and be open to no thing makes me passive. What do you suggest to those of us who are earnest but have had no real insight? How can we stay out of the garage? Living with the sayings of the teacher that you are not the person you think you are frees you from all the stuff that society, education, parents, beliefs, secondhand information have made you. Our wholeness is not a kind of knowledge. All kinds of knowledge are conceptual and in space and time. Consciousness cannot make its own wholeness an object. There is no thing here to cognize. Any kind of attempt to understand, comprehend, or cognize wholeness is an obstacle and prevents the apperception of what we are. The seed must be there. The seed is the sayings of the Guru which grow in you. The seed appeals to your real nature, wakes in you the desire to be. When you love something, you are effortlessly alert. If you do not love the sayings, then live in the garage. The seed comes from life or a teacher. It is feeling that makes the seed grow. You said, in your absence, there is His presence. Is God only present when we are not? In what way present? Because you and certain Buddhists teach that consciousness is anyway always, whether or not we know or are ignorant. In our total absence as an I, our total presence appears. This presence is completely objectless. The I concept is merely a deep-rooted reflex. Take note of it in daily life. Be aware of it. This is the only way to ignore it and then forget it. Consciousness is always, but you are not knowingly consciousness. Without being consciousness knowingly, you are a useless being, a parasite on our society. You are not a real human being until you are knowingly consciousness, because your real nature is consciousness. And if you don't know your real nature, you don't know yourself. When you don't know yourself, you are like a particle of dust blown in any direction. You live in objects blindly. To know yourself is the only real energy belonging to life. When this energy is related to objects, it is blind. Well, where does the desire to be absent come from? Our original desire is to be free from objects. The desire for a car or a gold watch, or to be a successful businessman, or for liberation is the same desire. The desire to be successful or to be liberated is exactly the same energy. When desire is related to an object, it causes obscurity. So at the moment of desiring the gold watch or success, let go of the object, the watch, the car, the money, the fame, and remain only with the feeling of desire. Live the energy of this desire, and you will find yourself in a certain stop. Only in the ignorant one does this create frustration. But in the sincere truth seeker, it brings inquiry. We question the nature of desire and feel the impact of the stopping moment. This stopping is where the energy was eccentric towards the object, and it is dissolved. It is then, in a certain way, available in all directions. Energy is no longer channeled, it is directionless. A different way to look at this is to take note of the precise moment a desire is attained. In this moment of desirelessness, the original object is absent. This desireless state is the goal of all desire, but our conditioning quickly propels us towards a new desire. So don't let this objectless, desireless moment pass you by. Be aware of it and how it is the desire of all desires. Desire for an object binds us, limits us. Our profound nature is complete freedom. Freedom can only appear in desirelessness. Welcoming is desireless. In welcoming all that is, we live our freedom, openness, directionlessness, and desirelessness.